Hello there! G'day! Welcome to the Nerdy Dad channel. Let's talk about the first two episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Look, all the episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi were directed by Deborah Chow, who, among other things, directed two episodes of the first series of The Mandalorian. The Obi-Wan series is something that I've been waiting for a long time. Like many of you, I first heard about what was the Obi-Wan Kenobi movie a long time ago, in what feels like a galaxy far, far away. Look, spoiler alert for the conclusion of this review. So far, it's been worth the wait. Speaking of spoilers, I will be talking about these episodes in a spoiler way. So if you don't wish to be spoiled, come back after you've seen the first two episodes. The series opens with a montage of the prequels, focused on the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin, which makes complete sense. And then it shifts into another retelling of Order 66. One of the younglings is a black-skinned girl, and I'd be highly, highly surprised if that isn't meant to be Reva. There's a 10-year time jump, and we get our first look at the Inquisitors in live action. The Grand Inquisitor still throws me. It's not important in the greater scheme of things, but I can't get over his look. The look of the Grand Inquisitor has been established in animation, and the look of the Parwin species has been established in live action in Revenge of the Sith. But something else that stands out to me looks-wise, that may or may not have a bearing on the story, is that the third sister, Reva, does not have dark side eyes. At this point, I'm assuming this is an intentional choice, although I could be wrong about that. The Inquisitors are tracking a Jedi named Nari on Tatooine, who they find before Reva is chastised for her recklessness, and the Jedi escapes. And while that's going on, somewhere else on Tatooine, Obi-Wan is making a living carving meat for some giant creature. I have some questions about that creature that I doubt we're going to get answers to. The creature looks like a giant fish. The Book of Boba Fett told us that Tatooine was once an ocean planet, but that was in the distant past. So what was that thing? Was it a desert dweller? It's not important to the story being told, but it has me fascinated. And that's tip of the iceberg storytelling for you. Kenobi is in a very different place to when we last saw him at the end of Revenge of the Sith. He is broken. Kenobi sees injustice all around him, big and small, and he lets it go. Despite his ability and his wish to intervene, he buries it, like he buried his lightsaber. We see a bit more of Kenobi's day-to-day at this period of his life, trading with Jawas who steal parts from him and then sell them back to him, and watching over Luke from afar. And it's after one of these days watching Luke that he is confronted by Nari, the Jedi that is being hunted by the Inquisitors. Obi-Wan is not the leader, not the person, not the Jedi that Nari expects him to be. And Kenobi tells him to bury his lightsaber in the sand and live a normal life. The next section had me a little bit confused on the first viewing. I liked that we got to see Alderaan and a young Princess Leia, but I had no idea why we were spending so much time with her in a show that was about Obi-Wan Kenobi. But in the end it made sense. When it was first revealed that Kenobi was not going to be on Tatooine for the entire series, I wondered what could possibly pull him away from Luke. The first thought that I had was that it was some kind of threat to Luke, but a threat to Leia makes every bit as much sense. By the way, how good does Alderaan look in this show? Leia's upbringing on Alderaan stands in stark contrast to Luke's upbringing on Tatooine. The young Leia is headstrong and stubborn, and she's constantly getting herself into trouble. We then come to that Owen scene from the trailer. Owen confronts Obi-Wan and tells him to stay out of Luke's life, and when Kenobi says that Luke must be trained, Owen comes back with the burn like you trained his father. What the trailer didn't show is that straight after that, the Inquisitors are pumping the locals for information on Jedi. They're specifically hunting for Nari, but Kenobi is standing right there, and Owen could have very easily turned him in. There is an inbuilt irony that Reva sets up a trap to lure Kenobi to the other side of the galaxy when she was standing no more than 100 meters from him on that street in Tatooine. Back on Alderaan, the scenes between Leia and Bail are just precious. As different as they are, the Lars and the Organas are both doing the best they can for their adopted child. Which brings us to the inciting incident that puts the adventure in motion. Leia is kidnapped. For me, this was probably the worst scene in the episode. There's a contrast between the bounty hunters looking absolutely buffoonish chasing Leia, and yet they're effective instantly shooting and killing an Alderaanian guard. But Leia is eventually captured, and Bail goes to Kenobi for help. First by Holo, And then after Kenobi turns him down in person, he pleads for Kenobi to re-enter the fray, which of course eventually he does. In an emotional scene, he goes into the desert, digs up a box that contains both his and Anakin's lightsabers before hopping on a freighter. At the same time, we the audience find out that Reva is behind Leia's kidnapping, which leads us into part 2. I love the world building on Dayu. Tatooine, Alderaan and Dayu all look so distinct, and yet they all look definitively like Star Wars. The dystopian cyberpunk city was a brilliant backdrop for the story being told. The down on his luck 501st Trooper was a nice touch. Anakin's legacy is everywhere, 10 years after Order 66 and the end of the Clone Wars. The first lead that Kenobi gets is an urchin who tells him where he can find a Jedi. The Jedi he finds is a charlatan. However, this charlatan, Haja, does tell Obi-Wan where he can find Leia, which is a spice lab. Obi-Wan sneaks in, and after a little hiccup, he finds Leia, all without outwardly using the Force. I really like the way that he uses the spice and the gas mask to escape the bounty hunters. Kenobi might not be using the Force, but he is as resourceful as ever. And of course, by the time Reva gets there, Kenobi and Leia are clear of the drug lab. As Kenobi tries to keep a low profile with a very stubborn little girl, Reva's Inquisitor compatriots find out what she's been up to, and the Grand Inquisitor is not happy with her. Told to keep out of it, Reva then puts a bounty on Kenobi's head to flush him out. And it works. Although only after Leia decides that Obi-Wan isn't who he says he is, and she runs away. I'm torn by this scene. It does make sense that Leia doesn't trust Obi-Wan, and for the sake of the plot, something needed to happen to draw them out. So I can't put my finger on why I don't like it. But as with the Leia chase scene in part 1, I didn't like it. Surprisingly, it's Haja, the false Jedi, who gives them a way out, through an automated freight terminal. Haja, probably somewhat foolishly, then confronts Reva. She rips the location of the freight terminal from his mind, setting up the confrontation between her and Obi-Wan. And even though they don't physically fight, it is this confrontation that is the heart of the episode. This scene is tense. Obi-Wan draws his lightsaber, but he doesn't ignite it. 2 episodes in, and the director, like Kenobi himself, has shown great restraint with the use of Obi-Wan's lightsaber. During this confrontation, Reva tells Obi-Wan that Darth Vader, that Anakin Skywalker, is alive, and that revelation hits him like a ton of bricks. He only manages to escape when Reva is herself confronted by the Grand Inquisitor, who she stabs. Spoilers for an 8-year-old animated series, but the Grand Inquisitor isn't dead. He doesn't die for a few years yet. Obi-Wan and Leia escape Dayu, however they aren't safe yet. Leia isn't back on Alderaan, and even once she is home and safe, Obi-Wan now knows he's being hunted, and that his former apprentice is still alive. We only have to wait till Wednesday to find out what happens next. So until then, this is the Nerdy Dad, signing off.